I'm Austin Toy, and this is TPR Podcast Presents. Every Monday, we bring you the very best from the Troy Public Radio podcast catalog. We have 12 podcasts now, but who's counting? It is my absolute privilege to get to bring you selections from our podcasts right here on the radio. Today's selection comes from The Rounds, which is a podcast about nursing education where hosts Kait Nesbitt and Brooke Moseley gather stories from nurses on the front lines of our healthcare system. But this episode is much bigger than just nursing education. Kait and Brooke are talking to Olivia Thurman, a nurse who previously worked in hematology and oncology, or HEMOC, at Children's of Alabama. Olivia's daughter was born with a rare genetic condition that required a bone marrow transplant and caused her to spend months in the neonatal intensive care unit. This is their conversation.
How are you doing with kind of managing both your daughter's condition as well as just being a mom? I know that you're not necessarily currently practicing, but how are you doing specifically?
Yeah, I mean, it has been hard. We spent 9 months in the NICU due to, her type of dwarfism that she has. It's called cartilage hair hypoplasia and anoxidic dysplasia. It's long. We call it CHH, really for short. But that type of dwarfism comes with the type of immunodeficiency, and it also is common for them to have Hirschsprung's disease, which is an intestinal disorder or disease. And that's what really kept us in the NICU for so long. She had 4 abdominal surgeries, and Hirschsprung's disease is really where you have those. She doesn't have the cells that allow for the motility of the intestines to work properly. So she's having to, get this portion of intestines that does not have those cells, they remove. And so it's been a trial and error with that. Really, we still are far away from getting her fully reconnected and things like that. She has 4 different stomas and a G-tube, and then something called, they call it a J-tube, but it's where her intestines is pulled up to her abdominal wall, and they have a feeding tube basically in there. And this may be a lot of information, but for her to be able to get the nutrients that she needs, we're pulling stool out of one ostomy bag, and we're basically refeeding it kind of like you would just regular formula, and we're refeeding it back into that other portion of intestines to help her be able to absorb more nutrients and medications and things like that, so she can gain weight and thrive until we're able to try and reconnect those portion of intestines again.
Yeah. Have you, in your experience, have to deal with a patient that's like her before?
Actually, I have not. Even with my experience as a nurse, I think I could count on my hands how many times I've had to deal with ostomies. So the ostomy part of it and has probably been, new for me, but now I'm a pro. I feel like, especially when you're a new nurse, if you haven't done those skills before, I feel like the only time I really would see those if I would float to another unit. And I was almost intimidated by it. And now I'm like, why was I ever intimidated by an ostomy bag?
So
out of all the things I deal with, central lines and everything, I was like, oh gosh, an ostomy bag. But now I'm like, oh, you're crazy.
The day they first showed me an ostomy bag in a lab and explained everything, I was like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way that even works. And then I had a family friend who actually had to have one put in place. And from talking to them, talking about the smells and everything that comes with it, what was the most, thing that caught you off guard when it came to that?
I don't think it was the smell. I think it was really, me being able to, touch all over her intestines. And they actually do not have, it does not hurt them. They're very vascular and they bleed, but they do not hurt if you move them around or anything like that. She will literally grab her intestines and pinch them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, girl. I was like, so this does not hurt her? They're like, no, it actually doesn't. So
That's incredible. And that's definitely something that, being a mom who's trying to advocate for essentially your one and only patient, and then later on when you're able to when she's better and you're able to enter, the workforce again and everything, you're more able to kind of explain that to parents.
That reminds me, like, one of the situations that happened while we were doing this journey for the BMT. My daughter was possibly having to be transferred to the PICU, and the nurse practitioner comes in and trying to assess her and everything, figure out what she's thinking, what she wants to do. And I can't remember the exact words that she looked at me and said, but she was like, "So do you want me to have like a nursing educated conversation with you, or do you want me to talk to you as mom?" I said, both.
Yep.
I need like the gentle conversations, but I also want you to be honest with me and tell me what you think.
Yep. How did you get into wanting to be in maybe pediatric in general, but also the HEMOC portion as well?
I feel like in high school and college, I always loved babysitting. So I feel like I just loved taking care of kids. So that really is what drew me into pediatrics. And then HEMOC, I feel like when I started nursing school, that was always just something on my heart and something I wanted to be, a HEMOC BMT nurse. It was the first job I interviewed for, and I got it. So I was excited, and that's what I did. And I stayed there because it was wonderful. It had its challenges just like any other job, but it's also encouraging, and, you have to be that encouragement for the kids because they do have their hard days. And a lot of people think that, oh, that job is so sad. And it is sad, but you also put on that smile to give them the smile that they need,
What's some of the most rewarding experiences that you got to have as a pediatric nurse, and even just some that what have been some high points for your daughter's recovery?
Yeah, so I feel like it's just the little things as a nurse that get you through the day and get those kids through the day. Like, I remember one night I had a little girl, she was probably 8 or 9 years old, and I haven't had her in a while, and she was so excited, and she wanted to play hide and go seek on the unit. And it was so much fun. It's just like getting her to be able to smile and actually be a kid, those are what's so important because they are stuck in this room for so long. And even for me, it gets depressing. You're in the same four walls and it's so hard. Just being able to get out and be a kid and walk around the unit or play games, or just like for my daughter, we were in the hospital for probably 2.5 months or so. And because of her immune system and just having a new transplant, we weren't able to go outside of this, or she wasn't able to go outside of this room. And then finally, when we got the news that her immune system, she accepted this transplant, we were allowed to go outside to a special garden that was made specifically for the BMT kids. And it's just things like that help you get through the day and help you get through this journey. And it's the small things, it's small to you, but it's big to the patient. Yeah. So on my side of things right now, it's big to me because we're able to get outside and get some fresh air. So. Oh,
yeah. And then I know we had that historic snow day with the South recently. Did y'all get to go outside? And
I was determined. She's a little over 1 year, and she probably reacted like any other 1-year-old would, but we wrapped her pumps in plastic, and we went outside, and we made a snowman, and we made a snow angel.
That is so adorable.
It was probably for me, but it was good for her to experience, but she's probably not going to remember it, but I will.
You can find the full episode of today's selection from The Rounds at today.troy.edu or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Austin Toy, and this is TPR Podcast Presents on listener-supported Troy Public Radio.